All right, hey guys. So today I want to make a quick video to talk about some basic probability that I feel everyone should be aware of if they play Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it's important to know this, and it can really help you with deck building and just kind of understanding how your deck functions better. So I'm going to be using this Chaos Turbo deck as an example here, um, specifically because it runs 3 Thunder Dragons. I feel like every time you play against Chaos Turbo, it feels like they almost always open, at least one Thunder Dragon in their opening hand, right? So I want to talk a little bit more about why that's the case. There's this app called Yu-Gi-Oh! Probability Calculator. I'll put the link in the description, but if you just Google Yu-Gi-Oh! Probability Calculator, this is like the first thing that comes up. So what you can do is you can enter the number of cards in your deck. You can enter your hand size, which in this case is 6, including the card that you draw. You can just, this name doesn't really matter right here, but you can just fill out Thunder Dragon and say you run 3 copies of them in your deck, and you want the probability that you'll draw between 1 and 3 of them, so at least 1 copy of Thunder Dragon. And you can see here that the probability of starting at least 1 Thunder Dragon in your opening hand is 39%, almost 40%, right? I'm not sure if this number is like surprising to you guys, but when I first saw this number, it was quite surprising to me, and really explains why it feels like they almost always start with a Thunder Dragon in their hand. It feels like 50-50 really, and it's not too far off from that. So I feel like this is just really important to understand within the context of Chaos Turbo. It's pretty important because as long as they see 1 Thunder Dragon in their opening hand, that basically means they have 3 lights in their grave, which means that all 3 Chaos monsters are automatically live. And a lot of them run 2 to 3 Magician of Faith, and if they're running 3, some people wonder like what happens if Moth gets knocked. Then you only have Thunder Dragon to rely on. But like I just said, it's not really too big of a deal since they have such a high chance of starting Thunder Dragon, and they just really need to find their way to 1 copy of Thunder Dragon. When you take into account the fact that a lot of them run 2 Upstart Goblins, that means that you basically have a 38 card deck, and there's 41% chance of starting Thunder Dragon, which is crazy. Some of them run Jar of Greed. Let's pretend they're running 3 Jar of Greeds for a second. It's not really the exact same thing as Upstart Goblin because you need to set it first, so it's a lot worse. But you can kind of count it as a pseudo Upstart Goblin, right? And that would take the deck down to 35 cards, which means now there's a 44% chance of opening Thunder Dragon, or really any card that you're running 3 copies of, which is just a good stat to know. And then like if the Moth gets knocked, then all of a sudden that thins out the deck by another 2 cards, and look, that's like 33, and that's like 46% chance right there. So yeah, this app is really cool. Just wanted to show it to you guys. You can also say you're playing a combo deck and you want to understand the chances of starting multiple cards in your opening hand. Say you're running another card, or in this example, say you're trying to understand the probability of opening with at least 1 Thunder Dragon and at least 1 Chaos Monster. So you're running 3 Chaos Monsters effectively, right? BLS and 2 Chaos Sorcerers. And we're saying here that in a 40 card deck, you have like a nearly 14% chance of starting with both at least 1 Thunder Dragon as well as at least 1 Chaos Monster. So yeah, you guys should check out this app. It's pretty cool. Another thing I wanted to show you guys real quick. In my last video, I was talking about the probability of starting a card if you're playing 1 copy of it versus 2 copies versus 3 copies, and my numbers were a bit off, so I want to correct myself right now. If, like I said, if you're running 3 copies of a card, then your probability of starting it is 39.4% chance in your opening hand, so basically 40%. If you change that number to 2, then all of a sudden you have 28% chance of starting that card in your opening hand. And then if you decrease it to 1, it's a 15% chance. So I really feel like you should just like commit these numbers to memory. They're just good to know. If you're running a single copy of the card, you have 15% chance of opening it. If you're running 2 copies of the card, you have 28% chance. And then 3 copies of the card, you have 39% chance. So it goes 15, 28, 39. It's interesting to note that like there's a bigger jump between 1 to 2 copies than there is between 2 to 3 copies. But these are just good numbers to know if you're trying to figure out the ratios of cards in your deck. If you're choosing between 2 or 3 or 1 or 2, etc. Just really good to know. The last thing I want to talk about really quick is like the notion of running more than 40 cards in the main deck. Historically, running more than 40 cards has generally been considered taboo and kind of frowned upon, and I don't really think that's warranted. I think I think a big reason that people want to run 40, um, other than the fact that they think that it makes a huge deal in terms of consistency. I think they also just like the fact that 40 is a nice round number, right? And like, um, adding a 41st card just kind of looks aesthetically ugly. Um, I think this is a silly reason if you're, just trying to win. Um, but I honestly do think that this is like a reason why some people want to have a 40 card deck. Most people will say that the reason is just to maximize consistency, and that's what I want to talk about a little bit. So again, if you're running 3 of a card, you got the 39% chance, and let's see what happens if you bump this up to 41. It goes from 39.4 to 38.6, which is like a 0.8% decrease, which is really not a lot at all. And if you bump it up to 42, it goes down to 37.8, which is like a 1.6% decrease, which means like this is going to make a difference, 1 in every 60 games that you play, right? I guess if you're playing a really big tournament, then it'll come up, but it's just a 1 in 60% chance that, these 2 extra cards, keep you from opening this Thunder Dragon or whatever, right? So I think this is really important because a lot of times people are, really trying to get their deck to 40 cards, and they feel like the space is really tight, and they're willing to like cut things like, I don't know, for example, maybe they cut a Snatch Steal, or Premature, it's not in this build, or maybe Mirror Force, Torrential, Card Destruction, something like that. But if the card's really important, then like you shouldn't be afraid to just bump up your deck count to 41. It really doesn't change the probabilities too much. And if it's an important card that you really think has value in your main deck, then you should just do it. And you should also not be afraid to play 42 if you want. So don't be afraid to go over the 40 card limit just because you think it's going to drastically affect the consistency. Use this app and check things out for yourself if you don't believe me. But yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys learned something here. If you like the video, then please like it, and feel free to leave a comment. Thanks for watching.